Hello everyone, so here's our lesson on intervals part 2. Last week we covered basic intervals. Prime, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth is the octave. Today we're going a little more into detail. These are called diatonic intervals. So if the upper note of an interval is found in the major scale built on the lower note, it's called a diatonic interval. If a prime, fourth, fifth, or octave are diatonic, both notes appear in the same scale. They're called perfect intervals. So it's the perfect prime, perfect fourth, perfect fifth, and perfect octave. So that's a type of interval. So the diatonic prime, fourth, fifth, and octave. In a major scale, if a second, third, sixth, or seventh are diatonic, that means they're in the same scale, they are called major intervals. And the sound of the major scale is the do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, right? That's the sound of the major scale. So we have the major second, the major third, major sixth, and major seventh. So these are different types of intervals. These are our diatonic intervals. Later we'll cover the intervals when they are not in the major scale. So to recap, perfect prime, perfect fourth, perfect fifth, perfect octave, major second, major third, major sixth, major seventh. So you're going to name the intervals indicated. So if you don't read notes, I'll just tell you the letter names. So C to F, we'll call it a perfect, so put P fourth, right? Perfect fourth. Then the next one, F to G, is a second, right? So it's called the major second. Then C to B, what interval is that? It's the seventh, so we'll call it the major seventh. So now we're labeling the type of seventh and second and so forth. And then G to G, it's the same note, right? So we call it the perfect prime. Just put PP. Then C to G is what? It's a fifth, right? So we call it a perfect fifth. Then G to B, GAB, right, is a third, so we call it the major third. C to A is the interval of a sixth, right? So we'll call it the major sixth. And then F to F, that's an eighth, right? So we call that a perfect octave, or PO. So how do we know what the notes of a major scale are? So we need to know the notes of individual scales. So we'll just cover the C major scale. So the notes in the C major scale are C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and C. So if you were to identify the intervals by sound, each of these pitches has a particular sound, right? So we're going to cover the sound, and we covered it the last week. So if you have the C, the low C to the low C, that's called the prime. If we went C to D, that's the second. C to E is the third. C to F is a fourth. C to G is the fifth. C to A is the sixth. C to B is the seventh. C to high C is the octave.